Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's the old bear with the old bear's den of Bigfoot. I'm outside of my house. Really can't go anywhere with my eye messed up. I would open my right eye, but it may repulse some people, so I'm not going to do that. Just wanted to let you know that I'm doing all right. They got me off work for a week. Feel like I let my boss down because of this. But I wanted to get on here and give you a story that I was given to me while I was out of town last week. I had two interactions at different times with Bigfoot, and one of them is from was really close to one of the viewers that I have that is on the Discord, and she's had Bigfoot activity at her home, and this gentleman doesn't live too far from her. And the Bigfoot that he described sounds pretty darn close to the one that she's seen. But first off, I wanted to get on here and say, I put a post up about, what happened. And I wanted to thank each and every one of you that's posted a comment as of today. This is Monday morning. I wanted to thank Hickok, David Hettesheimer, and I'm terrible at names, guys, so please forgive me. Shane Hall, Lori Rose, Bodine, Vaughn Squirrel, Sharon Guy, Jeff Hall, Chesney Adventures, Jam and Dad, Johnny Half, Tom Geilner, Kana Dude, Robbie France, Back Creek Cabin, Albert Trent Jr., Uncle Benny's Creepy Campfire Stories, James Bernard, Michelle Perez, Ivy Ramirez, Lorene Mills, Coco Kama, Tony Peed, Sandra Piper, the Country Girl, I'm sorry, James Bernard, Mountain Hominoids, Utah. And that's a very good friend of mine. Y'all should check his channel out. Rook Sana Geddins. I'm sorry if I hatchet your name and make it bad. Please forgive me. I'm terrible. It's hard to read with one eye. Sam Taylor, Osvaldo Valdez, Art Moreno, Andrew Williams, Bob L., Wise Guys Outdoors, Washington Road, Julie Powell, Tony Johnson, Dog and Butterfly, and that's a very good friend of mine. Stoned Captain, Deborah Donhauer, Kimmy Harrington, Da Rebel, not Doctor, John and Whitney Cocalis, Leonard Davison, Kat Peterson, Philip Castaneda, Nancy DS67, Open Minded, Don C., Jeremy Harrison, George Gonzalez, Janice Magnuson, Jerry Wyatt, Steve Lawson, James Hawthorne, High Desert Barb, Taryn Leggins, Larry Speakman, Ruth E. Langley, Peggy Clinton, Candy Wallace, Lisa Wheeler, Tiffany Morgan, Mike Rice, Daniel Trax, Ruben Moran, Brown Eat, Caramel, Devo Dottie, Ronald Albin, Prince Arcane, KHR 797, Lyle Graff, Crystal Trammell, Loretta Riggs, Carrie Kirby, Emma Johnson, Meredith Ahern Tamillo, Like I said, if I screw up your name, please forgive me. Brenda Batista, Annette Horning, Nancy McDonald, Rex Goodrum, Byron Miller, Nicole White, Dee Spence, Earl Wright, Sue Richardson, Gaia Gardner, Lynette Swanson, Susan Breach, Phyllis Robinson, Zachary Johnson, Keith Maxwell, Casey Wilkerson, SoCal Forest Ninjas, another really good channel, and a very good friend. Lex Spiel, SHPIL. I'm sorry if I hacked it. Please forgive me. Linda Salas and the Concerned Mother. Those people there, 101 different comments on my post, and I wanted to thank you all for the prayers. It means a lot. Thank you. And guys, I will still do my best to get stories for you. They may be older ones for a couple of weeks until this eye is straightened out and I can get back out and start driving. I feel like I let my boss down, but he's I want to thank my boss. He's a great boss, and I want to thank each and every one of y'all for your comments and your prayers. It mean a lot. It reminds me that my Lord and Savior is with me every day. Thank you all, and we're going to switch the camera around and give you shots of the little kitties that we have here at the home, and y'all enjoy it and listen to the video, and I hope you enjoy the story. And if you have questions or comments about the Bigfoot story, please leave them in the comment section, and we thank you all for it. And we're going to pause it and then switch it around. Anyway, I'm going to combine these two videos together, and here's the 4 kitties that we have left. As you can see, they're growing, and we lost the little black one we called Velvet. Very pretty cat. My wife's upset about it. Wasn't anything that we did. She got out into some weeds here around the house, and the only thing we can figure out is she got snake bit. So while I'm off, I'm going to make it my personal mission to destroy any snakes around my home. I'm going to cut everything down to where it's just barely above the ground. I don't care what it is. Trees, getting a new blade for my weed eater to do to take care of that. It upsetted me and my wife to lose the little kitty, and that's how I deal with it. Anyway, we're here for Bigfoot stories. This trucker that I was speaking to in South Carolina, ran into him at a truck stop, or not truck stop, but a rest area, last Tuesday night. So he was telling me about a time that he was there in North Carolina off the 501. I'm not telling exactly where it is, because if I told you the closest city, it would tell you where this place is at, and I'm not going to do that. It might identify someone that don't want to be identified or want to be associated with Bigfoot. So please forgive me. But Y'all can watch the kitties, and here we go with the story. The story was that he made a delivery to this business and delivered the product that they had, that they sell, and ran out of hours while he was there getting unloaded. He was hoping to get unloaded in an hour, and then leaving, enough time to get to a truck stop somewhere, but he didn't. It took longer than an hour to unload. Anyway, he ended up spending the night there, and they had no problem with that. And they were very accommodating to truckers, so because that's how they get their product. And he was there, and he ordered a pizza and had a delivery driver bring him a pizza down to the business. And he spent the night there and got his pizza and walked back to his truck and spoke to a deputy sheriff that stopped by to check on him and everything. And so after he was eating, he done ate his dinner and everything, and he was sitting in his sleeper berth watching a video. Well, on the sides of his sleeper berth there's windows. Well, they're blacked out. You can't really see in, but you can see out. And while he was watching the movie, he kept seeing something kind of do this. I'll give you an idea of what happened. I'm just doing it just to give you an idea. Anyway, he finally got up after it happened 3 or 4 different times. He got up and looked out the past, pulled the curtains back, because he had curtains that rolled around on the cab, and pulled the curtains back and stepped up there and looked outside, and there wasn't nothing he could see anything. Well, he laid back down in his sleeper, and then got back, and it happened 2 or 3 more times. Well, at this point, he was getting a little bit upset, somebody messing around. So he threw his shirt on and slipped his shoes on. He already had, he had shorts on, and he just put his shirt back on and slipped his pair of tennis shoes on, and got out, opened the passenger door and looked out, was looking around, couldn't see anybody, didn't see nothing, and kind of looked down the side of his trailer, and he had lights that went down the side of his trailer, and he saw something under the trailer. Well, it looked like it had hair all over it. And he's like, what in the world is this? Now, he's never ever thought about Bigfoot. He said he saw, finding Bigfoot and stuff like that. And saw the renditions that they did on the TV show, and he just thought it was kind of funny, thought it was just a thing. Anyway, he saw this, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? Get away from my truck. Screaming at it. And this thing moves and goes to come out from underneath the trailer and stands up. And he's like, oh, no. Well, its hair covered all the way down the top of its head, all the way down to its feet. He slams the door, jumps in his bunk, and, he's locked the door, and he jumps up and tries to grab the curtain and shut the curtain. Well, evidently this thing ran off and ran back into the swamp that was behind the business, and didn't have any more trouble. And so he, he just kind of was a little afraid of what was going on, so he just kind of left it alone. Then he finally said he fell asleep around 9:30, 10 o'clock. After eating, and all the excitement wore off, and he went to sleep and fell asleep watching the video or the movie that he was watching. Well, about 11:30 something till 12. Now there's lights all the way around this business, and it's fenced. It's got a 12-foot fence with razor wire on the top that's pointing outwards so nobody can climb in. And on 3 sides of it, well, on the back side there's a swamp. So they stopped the fence where the swamp begins, where it comes into the back of the business. Figuring there ain't nobody going to come in there through the swamp. That'd be a lot of work just to get in there, let alone trying to get out with anything that they may have on their property. So in that process, around 11:30 at night, something like that, 11:30, 12 o'clock, his truck shakes violently. Well, it wakes him up. Well, then it shakes again. So he gets up and jerks the curtain back, hops in the driver's seat, jerks the curtain back, and there's lights, like I said, all the way around this business. The place is lit up pretty good, and that's why he had his curtains pulled, because the light would have kept him awake. And he's standing there, and he looks out the driver's window, and he's looking around, looking through the mirror, and he don't see nothing, and he looks forward. Well, lo and behold, there's a Bigfoot standing there in front of him, looking right dead at him through the windshield. And then there's another one that peeks its head out from the big one that's standing there off its left arm. He said, well, this one just kind of stepped out and standing there looking at him. Now, the one that he's looking at, the big one, it doesn't have breasts or anything like that. It looks like a male. And the Bigfoot that he's describing, it's tall, a lot of dark hair. And the second one steps out, it has breasts. It's a female. And it has chocolate hair. The big tall one's black and with a chocolate face. And the chocolate one steps out and has like an ashen gray type of skin. And I know it's a weird combination of his colors, but that's what he said. It's the best he could describe it. And so, he's like, oh crap. Well, they're standing there just staring at him. And he carries a handgun with him, which is perfectly legal in the state that he was in. He was in Southern North Carolina. And he carries a handgun in his truck. Well, he rolled the window down on the driver's side and shot 2 rounds into the ground, not towards the Bigfoot, but to scare him off. And they just, when he shot the 2 rounds, they both kind of jerked like that, the jerk of the camera. And they just kind of turned around and just started walking off. And he watched them walk off through the yard, and then he saw them turn left, and he didn't see him anymore. So that was the end of that one. He never had anything else happen the rest of the night. Didn't have any trouble, but at 4 o'clock in the morning when his clock was up, he got out of there. He left. Because they left the gate unlocked, and just told him when he got out of there, when he's ready to leave, just lock it back and we'll unlock it in the morning. So he left. Then a couple weeks later, he was going on his way home, had a load on. It was Saturday night. He was on his way home. He had 3 or 4 days off in a row that he was going to have. It was a couple of days during the week, so he could do stuff around the house. And his wife was up waiting on him, and his kids were there and at home. And about 2 or 3 miles from his house, he said he came around a curve going about 55. Well, he saw something standing off the side of the road to the right. And he flipped his high beams on because there wasn't nothing coming. It was late at night. It was around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, he said. So he flips his high beams on and looks at this thing, what he thought may have been a person standing there. Well, this thing is bigger than the ones that he saw in Southern North Carolina. And by bigger, I mean close to 12 foot tall, maybe a little bit more. And if you would like to hear the description from the person that saw it there in North Carolina that lives near him. Want to hear the description of it? Go back and listen to the live interview that we did with the Southern Belle. Y'all go and listen to that and get her description of the Bigfoot that she saw, the big one that she saw, and that's his description, to almost to a T. But it was huge, was pretty much what he told me. So he saw this creature, and it stepped up next to the road, and he starts applying the brakes. I mean, he's trying to get stopped quick. Jake's wide open. He's on the brakes hard. He's grabbing gears to slow down and stop, and he gets stopped probably 30, 40 feet from this thing. And this thing just walks out in the middle of the road, turns its upper body and looks at him, and then just turns back and finishes the walk right across the road and hits the other side of the road and goes up the little incline that was there and disappears into the trees that were there near his home. So he had two different interactions at two different times of the year. About 2 or 3 weeks apart. And that's what happened to him. He's seen Bigfoot, and he talked to me about it. Just so happened to run into him at a rest area. So I hope you enjoy the stories. And like I said, go back and listen to the Southern Belle, the interview with the Southern Belle, and listen to it and hear her description of the Bigfoot. The second interaction the second sighting that he had with Bigfoot is the exact same Bigfoot. Now, they're not that far apart. The distance between his home and the Southern Belle's home might be 8 or 9 miles. So the Bigfoot roam around in North Carolina. I hope y'all enjoy the story, and I want to thank you again for all the prayers and the well wishes, and I want to thank each and every one of you for reminding me that the Lord watches over us all, and He's always with us. And it brings tears to my eyes, and it brought tears to my wife's eyes to see all the outpouring of love and all the prayers and well wishes from everybody. Thank you all, and like I said, we'll try to get you some more stories. There might be some older ones that I have in my files, but there will be stories coming out. Probably maybe another one this week. Don't know yet, but I hope you all enjoy it, and may you all be blessed, and y'all have blessed me greatly. You just don't know how much. Thank you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.